Is there any sort of process you go through when it comes to arranging your track? Do you think of the arrangement beforehand, or do you kind of build it as you go?
I think
'Cause I think-
progressively, as we've as we've gone on, I tend to do it. It depends what we're doing it for, actually. When we're doing music for a library or for a piece of film, and it has to be specific, or the library often will say it doesn't need to be longer than 2.5 minutes, so we need to then get all the information, and it has to be more structured, and it has to be more immediate. And we have to also think of things like the ultimate end usage. So say, for example, you might have a little 1-bar gap or break because you think it sounds cool. And it might sound more interesting musically to have a piece of music that tails over the gap and introduces the next section. But from an editor's point of view, they might think, oh, actually, I just wanted to use it from that point. And you can't use it from that point. If there's some noise that doesn't sort of sound quite right, if that was going to be the beginning of the track. So you tend to sort of think more in usages and blocks, don't you? Rather
music.
Yeah. Whereas with my own music, like I was saying earlier, I tended to come into the studio with an organised track when I was younger and know what I was going to do. Maybe I should try that more sometimes as well, but it tends to evolve as we do it, really. And sometimes you just think, does the track seem long enough? Does it seem too long? We just go by feel, really.
Yeah, I mean, often we'll play, we'll repeatedly play from the top and see how things hit us, and how, does it feel like the drum should come in there? Does it feel like, if we're getting bored there, do we need a change? Do we need a stop, and all of that stuff? So it evolves through many sort of passes, and sometimes you can work on a section and you work on a stop or a transition, and it sounds great then, but when you listen back, 30 bars and you come through to it, it sounds wrong again. So it's important to sort of keep getting the big overview of these things as you're sort of crafting them on the arrangement.
Yes, if we're just sort of doing for ourselves, in a way, it's a kind of luxury, but also it's actually quite hard sometimes when there's no deadline and there's no sort of specific end point, because sometimes it's easier if someone just tells you it's got to be this much amount of time. Then you've got something you can actually work.
You have to go with your own creativity more in this free environment, I guess.
Yeah. Also, I'm not very good at writing songs, and so my music is instrumental, which makes it easier for it to sort of sprawl around a bit, because if you've got a song and a narrative, that's got to fit in with that, almost hand in hand, makes it more like it's going to have a verse and a chorus, or at least some structure that you can repeat. And
hook or something.
So that would govern to some extent how you would write, because you need to keep coming back to it, and you need to have choruses and, again, more structure, I suppose, don't you?